Hello everyone, and welcome to Tokens and Heft. Sorry I didn't have any videos for you guys last week. Things have been getting weird here and there sometimes, job hunting and all of that. But I haven't forgotten about you folks, and I am going to keep doing these, even if I miss a week here or there because of stuff. Anyway, so in Tokens and Heft this week, we're taking a look at one of my favorite games, Galaxy Trucker, by the amazing Vlada Žvatil. I apologize profusely if I am mispronouncing his name, because this guy's amazing. Every game I've played by this designer is something that I love. Galaxy Trucker's amazing. Space Alert's amazing. He did the Mage Knight board game, which is one of the most complicated and intricate but well-designed games I've ever played in my life. And there's even more that I can't remember right now. Anyway, we're not here to talk about Vlada as a whole. We're here to talk about his lovely game, Galaxy Trucker. Let's zoom out a bit. Galaxy Trucker is a whole lot of game in not much of a box. Well, actually, it's a decent-sized, hefty box. Not as giant as some. Love the art on the front. The font's really fun. Traditional stuff. Back's got your nice little... Here you are. Here's the setup. Your regular stuff. 60 minutes sounds about right. Might take a little longer your first game, because there's some goofy stuff to go over in this. I almost want to read the lovely plaque here at the top, which details your mission. More or less, you work for Corporation Incorporated, each of the 4 players, and you just shuttle a bunch of supplies back and forth to all these new colonies and such. Now, Corporation Incorporated loves money and hates losing it. So, at some point they said, hey, instead of these truckers just taking a big old ship, filling it with these plumbing parts, shipping them out there, dropping them off, and then coming back with an empty ship, that's a load of crap. What we should have them do is send them down to the junkyard, and they'll take all the pieces they need to bring anyway, and just slam them together into a ship and fly that out. That way there's no waste, right? We don't have to deal with this empty ship problem. And that's how they decided to solve this issue. And you do this by building ships out of junk. Well, plumbing parts and such. Oh, where do you start with Galaxy Trucker? There's a whole lot of goofy stuff. I guess I'll start with boards for people. You're going to be building a different ship each phase. There's 3 phases, or stages, or rounds, or turns, whatever you want to call them. Phase 1, everyone is going to have one of these lovely, simple little ships, and it has the Stage 1 marker on it. Everyone's going to get one of these, double-sided and color-coded, central crew units, cores of your ship, and you put them on the number space that is highlighted. Then you start building your ship, more or less. I'll go over some of the stuff, like the components and stuff we've got here. Crap, something on my floor. So here's where this big pile of face-down tiles, I hate rhyming, at least by accident. So this big pile here is all of the tiles you'll be building your ships out of. Up here is the pile of galactic credits. Let's get some of these up at the camera. Whoa. They're fun, they're nice, they're not reflective or anything, but they got this shiny kind of art to them, and it makes you want them even more. And this is your main goal of the game. Whoever has the most money at the end wins. And your first game, you really shouldn't be trying to win, but just try and make it out with a positive score. Rest of these goofy little components. Yes, everything's on camera. We have these little tic-tac, delicious-looking glass beads for energy. There is a collection of little spacemen, little astronauts to pilot your ship. If you have the right kind of life support, you can bring along one of the purple or brown aliens. And then there's a bunch of wooden cubes, to represent all the goods you'll be collecting, which are one of the main ways, the easiest or most obvious way to get goods. And you'll notice there's a whole lot of other junk all over the board. This is the main board where everything takes place. Well, this is where you keep track of everything. This space here, I really don't feel like picking, actually, you know what, there's not a lot on this. I can pick this up, give you guys a better shot. Zooming in is going to involve moving the camera and readjusting, and I just don't have it in me today. So here's our lovely board. The spaces around the outside are where you'll keep track of what position you guys are once you actually go out to fly. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that. The game is more or less build a spaceship, then everyone flies the spaceship. There's not a goal. These are really just are here just for, you keep track of relative position, because that matters for some of the stuff you encounter, as well as, scoring and such at the end. This thing right here shows you, this is how the starting setup goes. So whoever's in first place, whoever finishes their ship first and grabs this number 1 token way the heck up there, they start on the red first space. This shows that the next person would start 2 behind them, and so forth. These here are how many bonus credits you get for the order you finish. So the first person to the person in first place at the end of the round is going to get 4 credits, 3, 2, 1, and on like that. This is for the prettiest ship. Whoever has the least exposed components has the prettiest ship, and we'll get a little bonus for that. And this is how many cards you put in each of these 3 decks, and then there's a 4th deck that gets made up. The decks are what you actually fly through. And while you're building your ship, as long as you've actually got one piece attached to your ship, you're allowed to look at, you can see them up here, but they'll be stacked on top of these. You can look at any of the 3 stacks, so you kind of have an idea of what's coming up ahead. But there will always be a 4th stack that gets built after the round, after you've all built, and before you start flying. That way you can't have 100% knowledge, because no one can have that. It would be a little unfun. And here is how much the goods are worth, and these never change. So at the end of a round, you can trade these out. Or you can dump all your goods and get the money for them. This is how many credits you lose for each piece of your ship that you've lost. As you lose pieces of your ship, you will stack them up on your board and lose more money for having them gone. These suckers here, alright, I hate to do it, but I'm going to have to turn a fan on. I have the warmest room in the house where I'm recording. It's where I get the best light. But it's like 80-something degrees out today. And I hate to have a fan on for audio, but we've got to do it. I mean, I'm starting to sweat like crazy just standing here talking. Alright, back to the game, and enough of me sweating. Here's where the timer's going to go. It starts here for round 1, 2, and 3. This is how long you have to build your ship. It's a 30-second timer. There. It'll start here. So your first ship, you'll have a minute to build it. And the way that works is you flip the timer over on the first space here. And then, once it's out, you don't need to have someone keeping track of it, but if someone notices that it's out, then you can flip it down to the next level. So when you're at 3, you would have 2 full minutes. You'll have a minute 30, a minute for the third round, or the first round. Oh, completely missed these. These are handy-dandy guides for how to deal with things. Small meteors will bounce off of, off of closed connections. We'll explain that in a minute. And shields. Well, you can use your shields to just deflect them. Large asteroids have to be destroyed by cannon fire. This weird icon here, this just means, one facing forward will destroy one in its lane. These guys can shoot, if you have a cannon facing to the left or right of your ship, then it can fire in all 3 of those lanes, the one it's facing and the 2 adjacent. Maybe they're either gimbaled or something. Mounted. These are just like laser blasts coming at you from opposing ships. A shield will block a regular laser blast. No problem. a large laser blast, there's nothing you can do about it. I'm sorry you're getting hit. That's just that. Alright, let's stick this back down. Talk a little bit about some of these goofy ship pieces and how the game actually works. Though the board really does, this board really does a lot in help you figure out how it starts. What you will do, put that at the 1. Oh, you also get these nice little wooden dice. Not the most amazing, but they get the job done, and I like them. There's also these tokens up here that have 1, 2, 3, and 4 on them. They're the decks of 1, 2, and 3 cards. There's also this little guy that replaces the round stuff up at the top. You can see here's round 2. Here's what each deck is made up of. Here's how the starting spacing goes. Here's what you get for each, for what place you finish in. And there's the bonus for prettiest ship. And then round 3, everything changes, and there's a bunch of expansion stuff. There's a round 4 if you want it, which has its own little thing. Okay, so what you're going to be doing is once the timer is flipped, you're going to start picking up pieces from the face-down pile in the center using one hand. Now, I have seen a ton of people, pretty much every single review I've ever seen of this game, everyone seems to think that you can only build your ship using one hand. This is absolutely not true. The way the rules work, or the way they are worded, is that you can only use one hand for picking up the tiles, but once it's over your board, you can flip it over. That's standard procedure. And once you've got this tile and you're moving it around, you can use your other hand. You can use two hands to fiddle around with stuff. You just can't use two hands to be grabby. You know, you want everyone to have kind of, you want to keep it kind of fair. If you're just grabbing a ton of pieces, it's just not going to work. So one piece at a time. You can only grab with one hand, but once it's over this, you can flip it over and start moving things around. Another thing I should point out on these guys. Uh-oh. Yeah, he made it on the floor. Completely didn't realize I had the little red rocket markers on here. See this up here? When you're building the ship, you can take a piece you like and want to save for later but don't have a spot for it, and you can put it in here. Usually, see how it's only this wide? That's to remind you that you can only have two pieces on hold. If you do not use these pieces in your ship, they stay on your board and will be counted against you at the end. Also, you'll see all the ships have this here. That's the maximum amount of money you can lose for having busted components. So even if you have like 7 or 8 busted components, you're only going to lose 5 credits. So what happens is everyone is sitting here frantically trying to build their ship and get things connected up and everything working and validated while the timer is running down. Now, in any round, you cannot flip the timer for the last 30 seconds unless someone has grabbed one of the numbers up here. You see, as soon as you finish your ship, or when you think you are done with your ship, you can grab any one of the numbers here. They're 1 through 4. You do not have to grab number 1 if you're first, but you have that option. These determine starting order for the track that you'll be flying about on. You cannot, no one is allowed to flip this down to here until someone has grabbed one of these. At least one person has to be finished. And then only people who are finished their ship can actually flip it. So some people might not notice. They might be lenient with it at first. Who knows? But that's so that even if you've got all this time that's run out and no one has finished yet, if no one's finished, it's a little unfair to kick that last 30-second, start on that 30-second countdown. So you have to finish one before you can do that. Then you do a spot check to make sure all your connections are valid and everything is connected up. Then you load up your ship with aliens, astronauts, and energy. And then you go for a flight. Before we get to the flight part, I'm going to try and do a quick overview of the pieces. There are far too many. Well, not far too many, but there's a lot of different types. This is a double battery. There are also triple batteries. When you set up, when your ship's built and you're setting up, this will get 2 of the little green energy counters. Or if you have a triple, you will get 3 of the energy counters. You have to spend an energy counter to use double engines, double cannons, or to activate one of your shields. Otherwise, that's it about them. Oh, and since it's the first piece, I must point out, these are single connectors and can only connect to other single connectors. This is a universal connector and will connect to doubles or singles. Also, you cannot have open connectors trying to connect to smooth solid sides. And I'll show you that. Like one of these pieces will help me demonstrate that. Here is a double engine, and you can see these are all 3 of its connections are double connections. Engines must face the rear of the ship to count towards your propulsion, and can't have anything in the space immediately behind them. So this guy needs space to actually to generate thrust. Though the fun thing is, you can then, after that blank space, have something else underneath it. As long as it's got that little bit of space, it's fine. Here we have a double cannon. This is a single connector. All cannons must have an open space directly in front of them. And I think they might work the same way, where you can have something 2 spaces in front of them and that's fine. They might actually need a clear path. And these 3 all work together. Because the battery, you need to spend 1 battery to activate either a double engine or a double cannon. Here's your standard old single engine. No big deal. Here's a single cannon. And this one's neat. It's a good example. It's got a single connector, a double connector, and the universal. And to demonstrate what I meant earlier about how you can have an open connection going into a smooth side, this would be invalid. If this setup showed up on your ship, you would have to remove one of these pieces, which might be attached to several other pieces, which might mean you lose a third of your ship. Here we have a crew cabin. Each crew cabin gets 2 astronauts in it. If a crew cabin has a brown alien life support system or a purple alien life support system attached to it directly, so like that, you can stick a purple alien in here. Or, in this case, well, he's got a universal, so I can even stick that over here. Or, in this case, you could have a brown alien. You can only have 1 alien of each color on your ship. The way the brown aliens handle the engines. So if you have, as long as you have at least 1 working engine left, he will add +2 to whatever your engine rating is. And with the purple guys, they're the gunners. As long as you have at least 1 working laser on your ship, he will add a +2 to your total rating for that. Here we have shields, and you'll notice that shields are set up in this diagonal. Shields cover half the ship. If I put this shield absolutely anywhere on the ship, it would cover the entire front, so that side, and then the entire left or port side. If you set it up like this, then it would be doing the rear and the starboard side. If you have 2 of them set up, one like this, and then one like this somewhere else in the ship, those 2 shields cover everything. But they will take energy to use. So make sure you have some energy on your ship. This mess is just a structure module. You're usually not going to use them because they don't give you any real benefit, but sometimes you need to throw one of these in to get everything all connected up properly. It's the only way your ship will work. Then we come to cargo containers. There are singles, doubles, and triples. Each little box can hold one of the one of the wooden goods cubes. And then we have the hazmat containers. Hazmat containers can handle any goods. You can use the regular ones on them, but the red cubes, those are the hazmats, and you can only carry them in these, and you're going to want to do that a little bit because they tend to be worth the most money. Those are all the components that come in the basic game that you get to build with. You will be taking these, you will be frantically picking the pieces up, putting them on your thing. Oh, I forgot to mention. If you've taken a piece and you've looked at it and you don't have a place for it, or whatever reason you don't want that piece, you can then throw it back into the pile face up, and then anyone else can take it. Aside from that, then you just go off to flying your ship. In the first round, you would take all of these cards, and then another little deck of 2 of these. Shuffle that up. And then you would just go through the deck. And I'll just go through these real quick to show you just a little bit of what level 1 would be like. So here's a meteoric storm. A large asteroid from the front, then a small one from the left, and a small one from the right. The way any of these things work, around the board are numbers. So, we have a meteor coming from the front. Hold on a sec, I almost had a standoff with an ant. Alright, so a meteor would be coming from the front of this guy's ship. Let's say the blue ship, since you can actually kind of see it on camera. Whoever is in the lead on the board here would roll... Yes, both dice. I got a 4. Now, whatever. I'll use the green one still. I got a 4, and the large meteor is coming from the front. And I rolled a 4. So, you look at the front edge, you find the number 4, the meteor came in this direction. The meteor missed. You made it. But if I had rolled like a 5 through a 9, it would have hit the ship from the front. Now, there's still 2 more left. There's a meteor coming from the left. I got a 7. 7 would have hit here, and would have hit the first component in this row that it hits. Or, yeah, that it comes upon. If a small meteor hits, like, say it was coming in from here, it hits this edge, this is no big deal. It just bounces off. If you have an exposed or an open connector like this, then it will hit the component and destroy it, and it will be removed, which, as I've said before, might be the only way other stuff on your ship is connected to you, so you would just completely lose bits. You know, one bad roll could end up losing you a lot of the parts of your ship. But that is how a meteoric storm works. What is next? Here's an abandoned ship. The way this works... you move your guy back 1. This little icon means it's how many days it takes you. So you'll move back 1 space. When moving forwards and backwards, you hop over spaces. You don't occupy the same one as them. Also, when you come upon stuff like this, the order, whatever order people are in up on the board up here, that's the order in which they get to try and, or see if they want to use this. So, first, second, third, fourth place, in that order, get to check out, or see if they want to deal with this. You would lose 2 of your astronauts, because they are now going to take over the ship, but they pay you 3 credits on their way out. So it costs you 1 day of travel and 2 astronauts, but you got 3 credits. So that's not too bad. Here's an awful thing. This is Stardust. You lose 1 flight day for each exposed connector. So you have to count up all your exposed connectors and move yourself backwards as many spaces as you have exposed connectors. Here's one of your favorites. You'll see this kind of stuff a lot. It's a planet. When you go to a planet, first off, I want to say everyone's got two of these little rocket things. One of them will be up on the board here, keeping track of where they are in terms of just relation to one another and flight days and all that. The other one is used to mark out which planet you take. So again, in the order that people reach them, so first, second, third, fourth, get to go to the different planets. If you go there, you will lose 2 days, but whatever planet you land on, you can pick up the goods listed. Oh no, I'm so sorry about that, everyone. So that's planet. It's another abandoned ship. Another planet. One of the best. Also, one of the scariest. Open space. When you hit open space, you just add up your engine rating, which is just the number of engines you've got facing rearward. You can increase that if you spend some energy to kick on the double engines you've got. And of course, you can also increase that if you've got one of them brown aliens. But you'll just move forward as many spaces as your the number of spaces equal to your engine rating. But if you hit open space and you've been battered and beat up and you have nothing left, you have no engines left, and you hit open space, you lose. You're done for the round. You are adrift. You get nothing, sir. Good day. So try and have at least one engine at all times. Just one little guy just kind of putting you along. So at least you don't get stranded out in open space. And it's not the last type of card, because again, this is only the first round. There's round 2 and round 3 where things get trickier and harder. But you've also got a bigger ship with more stuff on it. But here's some pirates. Yeah. Whoever's in front has to deal with them first. And if they don't just defeat them, then it just goes through everyone. I believe, if I'm right, the way this works is you're going to lose that day no matter what. If you have a cannon rating of 5 or more, I'm not sure. You might actually have to beat it. But I think you just have to meet or beat it. But if you have that cannon rating, then you defeat the pirates and you get the spoils. If you don't, you suffer all of these things, and then it moves on to the next person. Until someone defeats them, or all of the players they've just like wrecked all of the players. And then at the end of it, you go through that deck, and at the end of that, you do all your counting up and your scoring, you sell off some stuff, everyone gets a couple space bucks, usually. Then, flip it over to round 2. Do a quick little bit of round 2 setup, which is pretty much the same. The card makeups are different. You put this little guy out in the center board, and you're ready to go. And you do the same thing again. I will say that the second round, the deck is slightly bigger. And in the third round, the deck is even bigger than that. But in the third round, you are flying this baby. So, and you've had 2 full minutes to build it, so you should be riding pretty high. Or, those of us who are big Star Trek fans, the alternate 3A ship, which is very enterprising. I built the most... I wanted to keep this to 30 minutes, but I gotta tell the story. Let me put that down here so you can actually kind of see it. I had a ship built on this thing. I had built the whole saucer section area out, but nothing was really connected. It was like the ship came from here, came up, and then the connections only went around this way. So I gotta see if I still have these pictures somewhere. A big chunk came out here, a big chunk came out here, and then a big chunk came out here, and I had I basically just had it was like a saucer separation. I was stuck on the battle bridge. I saw somewhere online just a great video. It's not even a video, it might have just been a succession of pictures or something, but someone's ship, the whole thing, was tied together here. And there wasn't anything on either side here, and a meteor came and hit it, and just, his whole ship just drifted off into space. Oh man, I love me some Galaxy Truckers. This is a fantastically fun game. It's really easy to get the basic concept of it. You're not going to do that well the first couple of times you play it, just because you just need to get a hang of how all the pieces work together, and you learn a lot of lessons. You like, oh, I didn't know that thing happened, or, oh, I forgot about this little thing. There's a lot, it seems like a lot going on, but really it's not that bad. It's pretty simple, pretty easy to get. Everyone I've played the game with so far has a good handle on it after that first round. And really, it's just frantic scrambling to build your ships and then praying that these guys make it through. It is a ton of fun. And I highly recommend this. And really, I'm going to say it again, I recommend pretty much any game by Vlaada Chvátil. The dude's fantastic. Oh my god, he did Dungeon Lords too. That game is ridiculous. Alright, I could go off on a tangent about Vlaada again, the amazing games he's made. Or at least designed. Alright folks, this has been Tokens in Heft, talking some Galaxy Trucker. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Go out and get Galaxy Trucker. It is amazing and just so much fun. Go pick it up. I've been Lincoln. I'll see you guys next time.